Hello, one and all, and welcome back to League of Europe Season 5, Division 2. This is the 5th round of the Championship, and we're coming to you from the iconic Monaco Grand Prix. We have 16 drivers in the lobby currently. Hopefully we get a few more to close things off. For tonight, we can get the action underway out there on the track to take you through that action tonight. It is myself, Daniel Hogard, and in the commentary box, and alongside me as usual, it's going to be Aidan Carter. Aidan, how you doing, fella?
I'm doing very well, thank you, Dan. Looking forward to another exciting Division 2 race, as they always are. This is going to be something a little bit different as well. It's the first time since Season 3 that we've had Monaco on the calendar, so it's going to be a little bit different for a lot of these drivers who maybe haven't raced in league racing around this track yet. And I know from some of the other division races we've had so far that it has been a little bit chaotic, so I'm sure that this is going to be just more of the same.
Yeah, I think there's certainly a reason to expect that. Of course, as you mentioned, the last time at D2's race here was back in Season 3. I can't even remember what happened in that race. Still, still moving on, going into this race. Of course, we had that thrilling Russian Grand Prix last time out. Those words have never been uttered before. But that really served as a bit of an equaliser in the championship. I mean, Rakurik still holds a good lead at the top, but behind that, it is incredibly close. Matthew, 40, McCrass and XL Noon are all separated by just 9 points. Rick has a 17-point lead as it stands. But we saw early on that it looked like the championship was coming down to Rick and Packer, at least in this early stage of the season. But that race in Russia really mixed things up, and we have a whole host of new potential contenders to go through in this race. And the championship really tightening up last time out. We'll see if it continues to unwind and unfold as we head now into Monaco. And it's such an unpredictable track that can throw up really bizarre results. You could really see another huge rejigging of the championship order here tonight.
Yeah, we definitely could, and obviously because we're not really that far into the season. This is the 5th round of the season now. If one person has a bad race and one person has a good race, unlike you see at the end of the season, they can shoot up a number of places very, very quickly. And we saw that from a few people that hadn't really scored very well up until Russia. Obviously, Noon stands out, having been the victor last time out. Definitely McCrass as well, another one. Gary, one that scored points properly for the first time last time out as well. So a lot of people bringing themselves into contention, but it's really going to be difficult for those drivers to build off the back of that momentum, because we come into such a different circuit to Russia. Russia very open, no undulation change whatsoever. It's an easy circuit really to get used to. This track is the complete opposite. So while we've seen some people perform really well in Russia, it's going to be really difficult to make that translate into this race.
Oh yes, certainly, and unlike Russia as well, there is so much more pressure on the qualifying session here at Monaco. You guys know how Monaco runs. It is nearly impossible to find an overtake on merit in the race. So these are probably going to be the 18 most important minutes of the evening. Because getting up the front is such an advantage around this circuit, much more so than I'd see any other track on the calendar besides maybe Zambor. So that's going to really throw up the order here. And so these drivers now, a huge amount of pressure on them. This is also one of the most difficult tracks to just get a hot lap in it, a clean one. And so the pressure is mounting, and it counts on the drivers. They absolutely need a good lap here to get up the front of the grid if they want any chance heading into the Grand Prix.
Yeah, they definitely do. And circuits that we see a lot of these drivers perform well at, maybe quite similar to places like Singapore at these circuits, and then there's people that really struggle. So this is going to be one of those tracks where the field may be a little bit more spread than we have seen so far this season. This track, quite scary, I think, for a lot of drivers. A lot of drivers do not like this circuit, and I think the ones that do like this circuit absolutely adore it. I'm one of those people that absolutely adores this circuit. So if you like the circuit, you usually tend to perform well here. If you don't, it's one of those tracks that really punishes mistakes. So many places on this track where you can get it wrong. Saint-Devote, all the way up the hill on towards Caras, into the second sector, into the Mirabeau section, into Lowe's. There's so many sections. Portier, Nouvelle, the swimming pool. So many places to get it wrong.
Yeah, you're going to see evidence of that, I think, throughout this qualifying session. We're now seeing the first cars going out on track. Quite a few drivers actually selecting the mediums of the pit lane, I've noted. I think they're just trying to get banker laps in. Tire wear isn't particularly high around this circuit, and you should be able to get through safe and sound. QVR Packer, first car out on track. We're going to run through this circuit later on. But the thing about this track is that Well, there's a few places to invalidate. Typically, that's not a problem. It's really just losing end place. Then, as you can see, the wall's always limbing around here. So getting a lap, even though it's only a 70-second long lap, is immensely difficult. And the focus level is going to be huge for these drivers. If you are off focus for just 1 split second, you can find yourself into the wall and now out of the running. But let's see what our first driver up there can do. Then QVR Packer lining up for a lap around this historic Monaco racetrack. Let's get it underway then. Let's see what the American can do in the Alfa Romeo. Now preparing for the first corner on the lap. It's Sad Devot there, leaving the curb on the inside line, finding for traction on the outside, through the exit and then onto the throttle again. Up now, Beaurivage now into Massey in the casino section there. At the end of this first sector, holding fourth gear now, through the casino square now, running it up to the outside line and then back on the brakes then, into the slowest section of the track then, through Marabou now, then back on the throttle for just a second before you're on the brakes into the slowest corner on the calendar at the Grand Hotel Hairpin, now to Marabou, passing now towards Portier and the exit critical of Air Packer, you can see getting right over the curbs and almost into the wall, still surviving, and now you head into the tunnel, flat out, through the right hander, down to Nouvelle Chicane. As you go down the crest, you brake, get right up against the wall, the entry critical to maximise the use of the track, now to the high speed section, to the back is first up, fifth gear, running up to the outside line, then flat out to the first part of the swimming pool and on to the brakes for the second part, and going into the third centre, but the movers through the exit now, into Razgasten, in the first gear, short shift to second, find the traction, through the exit into Anthony Nose in the final corner, bit messy there from Packer with a turn in, gets away with it now, and going up to the line, QVR Packer opens with a 108.5 to kick off the session. That is a very chaotic and busy lap around Monaco. Packer to the top. The question is, can anyone top that time in this early stage of quali?
And that is a really, really strong banker lap as well. Track evolution in qualifying around this circuit is quite critical, and an 8.5 immediately at the gates of Packer. That is very strong at the moment so far. No one has been able to get into the 8s. Larkin just crossing the line in the racing point goes third fastest. That's beaten by Slash on a 9.3. He now goes into third position in this session. Ryan on a 9.6 goes sixth fast. Got one of the Ferraris coming to the line. That will be Noon. Last week's race winner crosses the line, goes P2 on an 8.9. Still though, 0.4 of a second off the pace at the front of the field. We've got more drivers now coming towards the end of the lap. One thing to note as well, we've already had one driver into the wall. J. Cole crashed on his outlap.
And we're seeing there more lap times coming in. Matthew 40 is going second on the medium tyres. He's only a 10th off Packer. That is incredible. Oh my word, Matthew 40 coming out the gates flying tonight. RX Assassin, debutant here, is going actually quicker on the second lap. He's impressed early on. Has going to the P3 on that second row for the time being. Then AlphaTauri, Packer on pole position. We're seeing more lap times coming in. That was Rick, I think, just improving. Goes fifth at a 109.2. Coming to the end of the first runs, I think, in qualifying. XL Dillon was out there. He's backed off a lap. Then he's invalidated that first run. So Packer will hold pole position. But the real story, I think, has to be Matthew 40. 8.7 to open up the session on medium tyres with less grip. That is stunning, and I think all the grid is going to have to be worried about. Matt T40 is on board tonight. The question is, can he convert it to the softs? If he can, he is surely a shoo-in for that pole position as it stands.
That is absolutely massive. When I saw that time come in and I saw it's on the mediums, I thought I had a graphic glitch. I didn't think that was right. I thought it was on the soft compound tyres. I had to go on board with Matt to confirm it, and yeah, medium tyres and 8.7. That is absolutely insane. Will he want to go out on a set of softs at this point? The soft compound tyres at this track, they are fast for the first 5 laps, but after about lap 6 or 7, they really die off, especially with that front left tyre. The front left tyre can really overheat around this circuit, is a real problem, and you can lose 3 or 4 seconds a lap in raw speed on those soft tyres. The medium tyres are much better tyre that can go 30 laps in this race without really any tyre temperature problems. So Matt being provisionally on the front row on a set of medium tyres could be massive for this race. TDB as well, equally impressive on the medium tyres, a 9.4. That's a good lap time as well, but that would be a stunning lap time on a set of mediums in any other session, but with Matt in the session, just a little bit dwarfed in comparison.
And now Matt has fitted those soft tyres on in the pit lane, so we can see now what he's really capable of on that Red Bull tyre set. TDB, the other driver, as you mentioned, we'll see what he can do then. He's going to get some tyres on, and I know he is pretty good around this track. XL Gary is out there, going well in the middle section now, into the swimming pool, right up against the barriers, through the exit, now into Razgasten, going to take a tight line, he runs up against the wall, just about keeps it out and keeps it alive. Now into the final corner, punching out, and Antonio's on the throttle there. XL Gary crosses, goes to the top, 300's clear. XL Gary, really good flying lap then from the McLaren. Of course, he had his best showing of the season last time out. He's looking to try and continue that form through. He peps Packer to the post, but Packer out there. You mentioned a track evolution. Now you're going to see what it's really capable of. Packer still out there again. Let's track the American again as he goes out for a whole lap. Can he best Gary's time? Let's see if he can find that in this middle part of the session.
Yeah, see what he can do through Sandevot there. Nice and neat on the inside, takes a lot of curb. He's got one of the Haas cars in front of him on the road. Hopefully he'll move out the way. That's another problem to look out for in this session is traffic. Got a yellow flag in the middle part of the lap. That is for one of the racing points. McCrasten is not going to move out the way. Oh, Packer really sideways at a casino. Holds onto it and still sets a purple first sector. That is amazing. But that was really, really up against it. Nearly into the wall. Gets away with it. Now heading through the middle part of the lap. Down into non-ERS, interestingly, through this middle part of the lap. I think maybe trying to save some ERS in the middle part, make it easier on traction so that he doesn't run out before the start finish line as he heads now through the tunnel and then down towards the Nouvelle chicane. Make sure you don't hit the wall on the inside of this corner. Really tight line, a bit of a lock up, but a little bit neater this time around. A little bit of a wobble on the exit of the corner once again as well. It dips the track in the middle of the exit. Really committed through to back. That was nice, but has lost time in the middle part of the lap. It looked fast, hasn't been fast enough so far. Nailed that second part of the swimming pool section into Raskas, doesn't run up towards the wall and decides to dive into the pit lane. Doesn't continue on with that lap. Didn't think it was going to be enough of an improvement. It looks fast, but it wasn't fast enough. And that's one thing about Monaco. You may look fast, but if you're a little bit ragged, it's going to cost you heaps of time.
Yeah, certainly. Small margins are going to cost you. Well, the small mistakes are going to cost you big margins. And as Ryan's going out, that's coming out in the Nouvelle chicane. That could be blocking some cars out there, but Ryan will start no higher than 14th. He is going to have to bow out early in the session then. And so that's going to be a big blow to the Williams driver's chances out there in the moment. Then we've still got some laps to come in then. If May Slash is out there, he's invalid though. He's going to have to try and go again later on. There's a Red Bull further down the road then. I think that's going to be NSX Yorno now, but he is died then. And an improvement on that lap then. Next up, Exil Larkin. He is fractionally up. Going through that middle sector. Matthew 40 behind him now. Through that final turn. Easy on the traction. Now to the line. Larkin currently 12th. Where does he go? He goes up to 9th. They win an improvement. Matthew 40's made him. Not by much, but he does find that time, and it's 200s clear of XL Gary and Packer as well, an 8.5 early on in the session then, as Alex Assassin goes second time at T40, the debut on flag. He's announced himself to this Division 2 grid.
But look at that, TDB's now just crossed the line and gone fastest by 200ths of a second. The top five, all in an 8.5. I thought this track was going to be quite spread out. That's nuts. Absolutely brilliant stuff for Kurik. Now championship leader goes up into P6 on an 8.7, just 2/10 off of the current pole position. But TDB found masses of time compared to his mini run. Matt, interestingly, only found 2/10 of a second between the mediums and the softs. That is quite interesting to see that he didn't find a lot of time. Vapor TDB, meanwhile, found nearly a second on that run. So maybe there's even more in it for Matt. Maybe he can find another 8/10 amazingly. Or that medium stat was so stunning that he can barely better it on the soft compound tyres.
You see XL Dillon improving the P7, but yeah, that's an interesting point about Matt. I was expecting him to blow away the field. Didn't quite come to be. We'll see if he can continue that charge throughout the remainder of the session. Bit of a down period now. We're getting ahead again to those final runs of the session. Everyone is on the board at the very least now, but TDB fastest in what is an incredibly tight top 5. And of course, Packer said that time early. You sense more time in that for him as well. He's going out there again. We'll track him out there. We've got a lot of other drivers out there on laps as well, looking to get themselves geared up. I think outlap seems to be the farthest stage. A lot of others are along then, so we'll keep an eye on Packer. We'll keep an eye though on other drivers coming in behind him and try to improve those times. And for Packer, well, only a minute improvement is putting him up to pole position. How's the first sector? It's very good. It's a 10th up at the moment then, heading into the Grand Hotel hairpin. Also XL Gary starting the time. He's right up there at the moment in the session. We'll see what he can do, as well as teammate Nico is just up the road from him there, but he is on an outlap at the moment. Packer, we're still going to track the American through. I do think he has got a lot more time to find on this lap, so TDB's pole position could well be under threat, but Alfa Romeo are really coming on strong in this session. They have looked like a good pairing so far. TDB, of course, has made a really good impression in that first race in Silverstone and has gone to bigger and better things since then, but Packer is flying. He's on a superb lap then, bouncing over the curbs, heading through the swimming pool, holds it all together, tight line through Raskas, and now to the final turn then. How's the exit? Bit of oversteer gets it out, keeps it out of the wall. This can be pulled. Tiddy beats Paul. Is going to be beaten. It's a 1-away 3 for QVR Packer. Going to the top. Behind him is Gary now. He is also flying. 2 tenths up. Middle sector. On a great run in. Heading through the swimming pool. Can he maybe trouble Packer's fastest lap time if he really puts together this last sector? Now, into Anthony Nose. Up against the barrier on entry. Up against the barrier on exit as well. Gary to the line. Does he get provisional pole? Yes, he does. A 1-away 198. Brilliant stuff from Excel Gary. Straight to the top, and he is really coming good now at this circuit that he hasn't really gone well at in the past. Storming lap from Excel Gary. Going to the top, the question is, can anyone respond to that and go better with 6 minutes to go? We're running out of time here in the session.
Now, we definitely saw on board with Gary in that final sector much neater than the first one that he put in, and he gained so much time in that last sector. It was very close to being level with Packer. I think he went a tenth faster in that final sector. That's where the time seems to be on the board a little bit. Packer took a bit too much curb in the second swimming pool, lost the rear of the car. That may be where the time is for him if he wants to get back on provisional pole, but it keeps changing left, right and centre. People keep pumping in lap times that put them right at the front of the field. It's going to be very interesting to see who actually ends up at top at the end of the session. Matthew Forsey currently on a lap in the first sector. Hasn't found any time in the first sector so far, so we'll wait and see what he can do through the rest of the lap. More people are further round laps at the moment. Nico currently on a lap 3.5 tenths up. He's found a good amount of time, currently 9th on the grid. This could put him maybe up towards RX Assassin if he can nail this final sector. Really wide though of the apex there. Anthony Noge wasn't able to quite get out of the corner nice, and now down towards the end of the lap is an 8.7. Lost a little bit of time in that final sector, but it's still an improvement up to 7th place on the grid. Got more people on laps as well. McCrass has just started a run, and I think that's J. Cole coming to end a lap now, but he's well down on his time. He's not improving, so I think Matthew Forsey will be the next person to finish a time. And oh my word, what a stunning middle sector. 0.3 of a second faster than his personal best. Remember, didn't find any time in the first part of the lap. 0.3 in the middle. What is this final sector looking like? Very, very neat on the exit of Anthony Noja. Now up to the line. Hits the wall on the right line, but that's a 7.9. What a stunning final sector from Matt. And he did find the time. We thought maybe he'd set an amazing time on the mediums that he couldn't better. I think just the first one on the softs was a little bit lackluster, but a 7.9. That is stunning. And I think even with a bad first sector, I think there's still more time on the board in that lap time.
Yeah, he's really been pushing the envelope and looking like the class of the field so far. But of course, just a lap with good execution. A lot of these drivers will have a lot of time to fight. The question is, can he put it together on the final runs? McCrass crosses, goes up to P6 then, and up into the third row then. 108.6 early on. Still, that top 5 has remained unchanged from early in the session. Drivers about got close, they pushed their lap times up further but haven't been able to find the time they were after. XL Jacob was very wide, going through Rascats in behind then. Nails actually knows though. Let's see what the run to the line is. 11th at the moment. How good's the last sector? Is good. It goes up to P9 then, and just shy of Nico's time, just besting Dylan then. And that increasing number of drivers on the 108.7. They occupy the mid part of the field, and I think I saw an improvement further down the road. I think that may well have been Autogear Nolan. That's only 14 though. Needs to find a little bit more time. The field's so competitive even around Monaco. Bit of a transitional period and a bit of time in the session. Matthew 40 on pole. Can anyone stop it? Can anyone get to that lap time, Aiden?
It's going to take a mega lap from someone. It's going to have to be inch perfect to get anywhere near, considering the fact that Matt set that time, and I still think there's more time on the board from him. So it's going to be an insane lap, and I can only really see either Gary, Packer, or maybe TDB getting in amongst it. But at the moment, no one's really showing the outright raw speed or a mistake on their run that suggests they could get any closer than they already are. Just looking a bit further down the field as well, a lot of drivers out of position. Slash currently third in the standings, or second in the standings, sorry. 13th on the grid. He's not had a strong qualifying so far. Larkin down in 12th. Last week's race winner Noon only in 11th. He can't find any time, but he's actually just found a 10.5 in the first sector. So he started his final running qualifying, gone out a little bit earlier just to try and avoid some of the traffic. So we're riding with a Ferrari man who's only set one time, I think, in the session so far. Hasn't been able to improve on it since. Looks quite neat so far through the middle part of the lap, heading now through towards the tunnel, and underneath the tunnel now coming down towards the Nouvelle chicane. A little bit wide on the exit of Portier, but it looked all right, and then down into the chicane now. Oh, really tight entry there. I thought it was going to clip the wall, but I think he just got away with it. So heads down towards Tabak now in the end of the second sector. Has he found any time? A little bit of understeer at Tabak. He's not really found anything in the middle part of the lap. It's still quite a ways off what we've seen. 6/10 down on Matthew 40 at that point in the lap. So this is not going to be good enough to put him anywhere near the front of the field at the moment as he heads to the final corner. This is his final chance in qualifying to put himself up towards the front of the field. Comes up to the line. And for XL Noon, it's 6th on the grid and 8.6 goes just ahead of McCrass, but with more people behind ready to start laps. I have a feeling that Noon's going to struggle to hold on to a top 10 spot.
Yeah, there's certainly going to be a lot of overlaps coming there. Falco's on the lap behind, but he is going to validate then. In that middle part of the lap, he is going to have to bow out of that one. Let's go later on then. QVR Nico is out there at the moment then. And that McLaren had a decent enough middle run. Let's see what he can do in this last run. He runs very well going through Casino. Holds it on the track. The first sector pretty much matches what he had done earlier then. Now, throughout this middle part of the lap then, all about finding the traction. Getting the application of that throttle pedal just right then. And in the third sector, is all about maximum commitment. So let's see what Nico can do then. It's a tiny run coming over the iconic Portier now underneath the tunnel then, flying it through. He actually lifts up his back off, so he's not confident that he can find an improvement on that run. So Nico backs off then in the middle part of the lap then. Packer is behind him and he is flying. He's the first driver I've seen get into the 17s in that first sector, right up against the wall. And a Nobel chicane, but the Alfa Romeo's flying. This will be his last chance and he's making it work here, but he's still down on Matt. Can he find a stunner into the lap? He hits the wall. Coming out of the swimming pool, I think he's still safe for damage. He can keep that car going, keep it flowing into the final corner. Maximum commitment. Can he challenge Matt's pole position time? Packer to the line. It's a one-away flat. It's a good lap, but it isn't quite good enough. He is a 10th shy at the moment. Matthew 40 crossing. He's just starting off a lap. Then he's going to kick off his final run in the session. Then his teammate behind him, Yorno, is also looking to start one up. Well, he's behind that on the track then. I think that it's going to be one of the Haas drivers that's next up over the line. But it looks like a lot of drivers on out laps then trying to get the laps in last minute then. I think we did see an improvement. I'm not exactly sure who that was jumping up the order. Jago's come through. He's just starting a flying lap there. 10th at the moment. Then Mercedes over the line. Dylan again just starting. So everyone's got to get really close to get that final lap time in. To the line behind is Rick. The championship leader needs a big last sector here. And it doesn't come through. He's only P8. And he may well be looking at the Mercedes starting outside the top 10, which isn't really an advantage here in terms of the tire strategy. TDB was up on his flying lap, but he's invalidated last sector. Overstuffed the last corner as well. He's going to put that one to bed behind him. And Nico is still out there on the lap, but he's a 10 down, running out of that way, down through Rasgas as he put together a strong last sector to push him further up the grid. Then to the line is Nico. What is he doing here? He does improve. Goes 7th for the moment then. Matthew 40 now to the final turn. He has been dominant in qualifying. Can he put it to bed now? To the lane goes the Red Bull driver. He does improve by half a 10th. 7-9 in the moment. Gary is next up over the line behind him. The McLaren. Can he pull out a great lap to end it off? No, it's not an improvement. He settles for 3rd place as it stands. More lap times to come in then. I think Larkin went over the line. He is P14 there. Yorno P13 in front of him. Jekyll improves. P6. Good lap from Jekyll. He puts himself into the mix in this qualifying session. Dylan Cross, that's the 108.7 for the Dutchman. And I think this is pretty much it for qualifying. Falco, I think, is still out there. He's backed off. Matthew 40 pole position. And dare I say it, Aiden, he never looked like losing it.
No, since that medium run at the start of qualifying, it was hard to bet against anyone getting close to that. In the end, it was pretty close at the front of the field. Packer did set a good time at the end of the session, just wasn't enough. Matt's time was absolutely stunning. The first run, the one before this one, would have been enough to secure pole position. He went half a 10th faster still, so that is a brilliant lap time for Matthew 40. So going into the race, he's in the prime spot now, going in towards turn 1. Such a short run into Sandevort on the first lap. Great opportunity for Matt to try and pull away at the front of the field. Packer at the front, though. Good thing for Packer here, though, is his championship rivals at the moment slash Rekurik. Rekurik 10th slash 12th. So Packer here in a really good position championship-wise.
But Matthew 40, who is just 2 points behind him in the championship, is the one driver in front of him on the grid. And of course, Matthew 40, he's pulled out a victory from last on the grid in Canada. Let's see what he can do here. He does get that pole position from Packer, 2nd place. Gary sold enough qualifying, keeping himself in contention and maybe looking to bump himself up even further in the championship order. TDB is 4th, again impressing here in Division 2. Arx Assassin didn't get a lap time in at the end, but still a good debut here in D1. We'll see what he can, D2, sorry, we'll see what he can do in the race. Jekyll is P6, Noon 7th place at the moment. Last week's race winner Nico McCrass and Rekurik critically rounded rounding out the top 10. A lot of work to do for the championship leader. Behind him is Dylan, Slash, Yorno, Larkin, Nolan, Ryan, and Falk rounding out the grid. The top 13 covered by less than a second. That's not bad for Monaco, actually. Around such a technical circuit with 19 corners. I certainly have a field spread that close is certainly a very good sign for the race. We'll see how it unfolds then. But Matt has pole position, and even though he's made mistakes in races before costing him dearly after good qualifyings, you have to say this is the most important qualifying, most important pole position on the entire calendar to get, and starting up the front, as I'm sure think you're going to see this race, is absolutely critical around here.
It really is. Doesn't matter what tyres you're on around this track, that track position is key around this circuit, because unless a driver in front of you makes a mistake or has damage, overtaking is virtually impossible around this circuit. If you're just following someone who's running on the same tyres as you, you can be a couple of seconds a lap faster than them, and there's just nowhere to overtake. So the track position is really, really crucial around this track. That's why you see a lot of people outside the top 10 on the alternate strategy not really make the strategy work, because they can't go anywhere in the opening phase. And then by the time they've got the free air, once all the soft runners have pitted, all the soft runners are now on a fresh set of medium tyres or a fresh set of hard compound tyres are running faster than them. So being right at the front of the field here and qualifying is really, really crucial for this race. And just looking at the people a bit further down the field as well, a lot of people struggled in that qualifying session. Ryan obviously crashing out quite early on. Big surprise to me, though, is Falk. Falk has been really strong in qualifying all season long. Picked up a podium last week, I believe. Oh, no, it's McCrass, I think, they picked up a podium last week. My apologies. But yeah, Falk, along with his IFR teammate, has been really strong in qualifying all season long. Down in 17th on the grid, 1.6 seconds off the pace. That's really a disaster for him.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of work to do, I think, come the race for Falk. He does have a pair of second row qualifying positions this season, and so he's going to have to try and work his way through from the rear of the field. But no such issues for Matt 240. QVR Packer will be alongside him on the grid and looking to get that jump off the line. But as you mentioned, it is such a short run into turn one. The start isn't exactly adamant, and overtaking on the brakes at a Sandavor is difficult without coming to blows then. Everyone's going to have to watch their front wings on this first lap, because the field really bunches up, especially into that Grand Hotel hairpin. It's the slowest corner on the calendar. The field's going to be bunched up. The driver's going to have to be careful then, and I think, well, if these guys aren't cautious and looking out for each other, there could be front wings flying here in the first lap.
Yeah, because of how big the Constantina effect is in that middle part of the lap, the field spread by the end of lap one tends to be quite massive. The person at the back of the field tends to be already nearly a pit stop behind the race leader by the time they get to the end of the first lap, just with how slow that middle section of the lap is. Just looking at people as well outside the top 10, their tyre strategy is Dylan and Slash on the mediums. Interestingly though, Yorno and Ryan have gone for a set of softs, so I think they're thinking of pitting early. Larkin and Nolan on mediums, Falk at the back of the grid going for something completely different and starting on the hards.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to ask you for predictions this week. I'll let you off. So let's get things started then with the race tonight. We are Monaco, and 17 drivers eager to get to that iconic checkered flag after 39 laps in P1. Who's going to settle in that position as now we are ready to go racing for the 5th round of the season. The Monaco Grand Prix historic race about underway. We have 5 lights. And they go out very quickly. We are away from Monaco. Who's got the best start for the front then? Matt 240 as Packer tugging in behind him. Is going to follow through P2 behind then. We've got a lot of jostling for position. Gary came under pressure from, I think that was a run on the outside then by one of the cars there behind. But that is indeed now Arts Assassin moved forward then. So it was a run from TDB around the outside. That one didn't quite come off. Then he has to settle back into P5. But it's all nice and clean at the front then. And now they head towards the Grand Hotel Apron. Saved the car early on. Did he come together down there in Maribor then with the front wings flying? You can see the field bunching up then into the hairpin. We have safety car on lap 1 here. Do you see anyone getting damage from the back of the field aid in there? Looked pretty clean from my view, but down the field did we see some incidents back there?
Yeah, real mess coming down in towards Mirabel. I think the one that's really lost out there is Nolan. He's missing almost all of his front wing. Everyone came down into Mirabel. I didn't see who was side by side. Someone was side by side with somebody going down into that corner. And because obviously side by side through Mirabel is so slow, everyone Constantined up, and the people at the back of the field just couldn't slow down in time. It just ended up almost being a pile up at the corner. A lot of debris, but yeah, definitely Nolan, the one that's lost out the most in all of that. He'll have to pit probably for a set of hards, and maybe we'll try and go to the end of the race. I think Yorno also has picked up some damage in all of that as well. I think Falk at the back has managed to get away with it by being so far back at the start. His start on the hard compact tires was poor, but look at this. All the leaders are coming in. all the leaders from the soft compound tyres are coming in for a set of hard compound tyres, and Vapor, TDB, has stayed out. He's gone for something a little bit different. Now, if I was in their shoes, I understand why they've come into the pit lane here, but the problem now is that they're all on a set of hard compound tyres, which are relatively slow. Vapor TDB is on a set of soft compound tyres. He'll be faster than all the medium runners and Falk behind. TDB here could really stretch away in these next few laps.
He needs to really pump in those laps, though. This is exactly the same situation that we saw in T1 earlier. And it was NSX Corner that looked to stay out longer and just try and make that soft strategy work after a first lap safety car. Pretty much everyone else went in for a set of hard tires on the first lap. Ultimately, he came close to getting out of that pit window, but couldn't quite manage it then. The soft tires started to go off, so TDB is going to have to really pump in some hot laps then. As actually, look at this though, through the pit lane. The busy pit lane has really shaken things up. That Packer has jumped Matt T40 in the pit lane and has immediately undone that qualifying. And now he may well be holding that racing. We saw some penalties further down the order then. 5 seconds stop it goes to Jekyll and Noon, who are running in pretty strong positions in the order at the moment. So they mostly came together on the first lap. They're getting some penalties for their troubles, and that's going to really hurt them then. But they won't be making another pit stop in this race. At least they plan not to unless they get damage. But that's going to really hold it back because the field can be very bunched up around here. But TDB now up at the front, he can control the restart on the fresh soft tires. He's not really a danger from the guys behind, but certainly these guys further down the field, they don't really have that much of a tyre advantage, and Packer and the rest are going to have a real hard time. Falk maybe will be slower on those slightly older tyres, but it's not going to make much of a difference, and the pack behind is going to have a near impossible task to try and find a way through.
Yeah, it's going to be incredibly difficult for these guys to try and make a move stick. And we've already seen in qualifying, Falk has really struggled so far to find a groove around Monaco. That is the last person that these net race leaders need to be behind is Falk. Falk's struggling on a set of hard compound tyres. He's obviously not pitted, so he will have to pit in this race. But he's technically the lead hard runner. So at the gap in pace between Falk and Packer was 1.5 seconds in qualifying. So this could be really crucial here as to how fast Falk is on those hard compound tyres. Another thing to note as well, I mentioned tyre temperatures earlier on. The soft compound tyres overheat very quickly. The medium tyres, very strong tyres around this circuit. They can be very fast and consistent. The hard compound tyres take a couple of laps or so, especially behind the safety car, to actually warm up. So one thing to note behind the safety car, once the safety car goes in, which I imagine will probably be at the end of this lap, note these drivers on the hard compound tyres. For the first couple of laps, it's all going to be about keeping out of the wall for these guys.
Yeah, they won't be having a tyre grip that they're certainly going to want. That could present an opportunity for the top four to maybe move away from the field, in particular TDB. Next few laps are going to be huge. His tyres, he probably won't want to get too much heat into them. He wants to avoid spiking that temperature, as you mentioned. And so he is going to just bide his time then and hold back the field. Then we should get back to racing on this lap. There's the message for race control. Now we're going to get things back on the way. And now Vapor TDB control this from the front. MMA Slash will follow him through and wait for the opportunity to present itself. Then when is TDB going to go? He's got options throughout this tight and twisty end to the lap then. He's still holding it back then on the approach to Razgas. Then maybe can punch out early on the traction out of the corner. Then he swings wide through Razgas. Opens up the exit. He doesn't go yet. Hesitates into Anthony Knows. Now goes for the move early and away goes TDB to the front. Then massive oversteer from Slash behind. And now they're all going to bunch up then through the restart. But TDB leads it over the line of the kick. Things up. Slash going with him, but already dropping back a little bit, and the soft tires coming good then. As it stands, looks like everything is holding pretty static down the field there. We got some incident down there. Incident down at the main straight, and no one's got into the wall. Huge damage then. Yorno has lost his entire front wing in that then. So Red Bull and Williams coming together now, isolated at the back of the field, and they come together again up on Revenge. Oh my word! And now no one holding back then. Yorno, massive accident there, both of them coming together, absolute chaos down there at that restart there between these two. Everything else was static, but all sorts of chaos is going off there. Nolan and Yorno isolated. They're going to need a safety car now if they want back in this race.
It's been such a disaster for them this race. This entire season so far for Nolan and Yorno has been a bit of a disaster, and those two coming together at the back of the field at the safety car restart is incredibly odd. The fact that they came together so late on down that pit straight back to the front of the field though. TDB's not pulling away. This is very interesting at the front of the field. TDB had a great restart, but immediately Slash has re-caught him and he's dragged Dylan and Larkin with him. So I find that quite interesting that TDB's not been able to find anything in the rest of the lap to actually pull away, and instead he's been caught by the drivers behind. And also looking at that safety car restart, Packer and Matthew 40 had a good safety car restart. RX Assassin had a very, very poor restart, and so did Gary. Gary's been able to close the gap back up to RX Assassin, but RX Assassin hasn't been able to close the gap back up to Matthew 40, and that's another thing to note. The final sector is so tight and technical, where depending on where the leader goes at the first safety car restart, it can really split the field out once again. That's definitely happened at this safety car restart so far. Packer currently in P6, our net race leader once everyone's pitted, sitting behind Falcon at the moment, I think just waiting for the opportunity to come.
Yeah, but that opportunity is going to take, I think, a bit of fighting. Falcon only slightly older on the tires, can try and hold it back. And the gap's already opening up then. Larkin is moving away up in front then. And at the rear of the train, led by TDB. TDB, yeah, he's certainly not looked quite as strong. After that restart's been caught and then pressured by MMA Slash, who's in a really good spot in this race, but he's going to have to work his way back to an entire train of hard runners for the second race running. He is going to have to really try and struggle his way through then. We saw the futile attempt of those guys that didn't put up the safety car to catch up then. Do they get revenge at this time out then? Slash is hounding TDB over the line. The manoeuvre not coming through just yet. We're going to see DRS now, but only once on the lap. That's heading into Sandemont. Then we're going to see it the first lap heading in to that corner for the 7th time in the Monaco Grand Prix, but still the top four look to be moving clear. Dylan pressuring Slash, Larkin just about keeping up, and you can see as well Falk is struggling in behind and he's holding back all of these hard runners, and the gap will open. The question is, these hard tires will come into it. Falk's pace will probably pick up relative to the front four, but the question is, can he do it early enough? And so he's not going to hold back these guys too much. Then Packer is a net race leader, but if Falk is that much slower and struggling to make the pace and match those four in front, then it could be a real opportunity for the guys in front. Then Dylan is looking at Slash, doesn't quite get through at the moment, heading in to the Novel chicane. Slash is wide, will hold on to it, but Falk dropping back. Paga held up behind him, and these hard runners, they need to run a good pace so they don't avoid getting jumped by that lead quartet in the pit stops. If they can continue to build on that, they've got a chance. Falk holding on at the moment, but we have an awful lot of laps for that pit window to get sorted out.
Yeah, I think at this point in the race, Packer and Matthews 40's biggest threat, I think now is Slash. Vapor TDB's just not got enough pace at this point in the soft compound tyres. Those softs are going to start going off in the next couple of laps if they've not gone off already. Dylan, in third place, is looking very strong on those medium compound tyres. Can't find a way through on Slash around Monaco, but tucked right underneath the rear wing of that Williams, not seemingly affected at all by the dirty air, is looking quite fast on those tyres, and they look like they could be a bigger threat than Vapor TDB at this point in the race. If Vapor TDB comes in the next few laps and allows Slash Dylan and Larkin as well to get up the road, they can start to pull the gap on Falk. Packer tucks right up the rear ring of Falk as well. And interestingly, Matthew Forte, I don't know if this is deliberate, but he's not really able to stick right to the back of Packer. I think he may be just giving himself a bit of breathing space unless these two may be coming together, or whether he's going to struggle a little bit with dirty air, but he's not tucked right underneath the rear wing like you maybe would expect. Packer, though, I think maybe going for a move on Falk here, down towards the Nouvelle chicane. He's used a lot of ERS coming out the corner, but you can see that there's just not enough straight for anything to become down that straight. No DRS as well down that straight either. Backass is sitting behind it for another lap longer, and further back behind Matthew 40, RX Assassin just continues to lose time.
Yeah, that gap, he's leaked 2 seconds already to the train in front, and Falk's pace looks actually pretty strong relative to a lot of these hard runners. Only Gary is really going with RX Assassin even, so the gaps are opening up early in the Monaco Grand Prix. Packer is trying to get up to Falk, looking with a bit of movement steer off of Anthony Nose, can't quite get through for the moment. Exhale Dylan looks really impressive in these mediums, and he is hounding MMA Slash. The question is though, can he find a way through? Slash made a few mistakes in the last lap that ran wide to the Grand Hotel here, but he's made up for that though, and is back on the rear wing of Vapor TDB, who is going to look over his shoulder at both mirrors, make sure he's keeping the Williams behind it. Still, Dylan on the rear wing of Slash, but that overtake is not going to come through just yet. Then Slash running out wide through the hairpin, but ultimately just cannot find that gap. Can Dylan? He's right up heading over Slash, making a mistake. That's held back Dylan as well though. I think he's too far away, and still Slash will hold up, and even he looks uncomfortable on these medium tires. Pager again chasing down Falk, but it's such a brave and bold and almost idiotic move to the inside line. Packer knows what's at stake here. He is willing to just sit him behind, and Falk's pace at the moment, it's picked up in the last few laps. It's good enough at the moment, holding with that lead quartet, that at the moment, as long as he keeps this going and maintains that pace, he doesn't have anything to worry about, and the guys behind Packer and Matt could just sit there patiently, because at the moment the top four not pulling away the way that we thought they were doing to. I think TDB's holding these guys back. Slash in on Larkin, if they want a good chance of this race, need to get back in the Alfa Romeo. He's a sitting duck at the moment up the front.
Yeah, he's just got no pace at all. We're getting to that point of the race now where if there was no safety car, the soft runners would be pitting for a set of medium compound tyres. So TDB should be in maybe in the next couple of laps. He definitely should have come in as well because he's just losing the rear of the car all over the place. Oh, slashes as well. How on earth did he keep that out of the wall? But my word, that was a massive moment, but he's lost out. Dylan's finally got the move done. Larkin through as well. Slash, that was a massive moment. I am amazed that he didn't bin that in the wall on the inside of Gord Mirabeau. Really lucky to get away with that. And now Dylan right up behind TDB, immediately trying to go for the move on the Alfa Romeo, but not quite there, going down in towards Nouvelle Chicane. Dylan now the lead medium running. You've got to say, out of those three drivers that were at the front of the field on the mediums, Dylan looked like the fastest.
And now he has a run at TDB. Can he get the overtake done on track? TDB's pit stop, you imagine it's going to be quite soon. Hard tires will go on, and he'll try and somehow get up to the trade in front. Actually, may well be mediums, but he makes a bit of a mistake. And Dylan looking at the inside lane of the Razcast. No, that one not coming through. TDB, but seemingly running out of grip, and I think he's going to be saved by Nolan up in front. And he does have DRS to defend, but Dylan's still coming at him into the first corner in the 10th lap, looking to the outside line. No, that one is still coming off. How's the grip? How's the exit off a Sad Devote? Again, Dylan on the attack, and Boulevard, the lane coming off by TDB. He's all over the road trying to defend. Dylan looking up to the outside into Masseny, and TDB is covering the line, but he is under such immense pressure here on lap 10. Again, the only exit off Casino is strong for Dylan, but he just cannot get alongside. TDB is somehow holding it back, and he is really hurting Dylan's pace with those mediums. You can see the pace that the Mercedes possesses. TDB sliding into Mirabel Bass. He's got no grip left. If Dylan can get a good exit on Portier, he has a chance. He does have a good run through the tunnel. He's looking to the outside lane to get the inside into the Nouvelle Chicane in the race. He does now go side by side, heading in to the chicane. The inside lanes with Dylan. Can he get stopped and turn in? He runs wide, gets a penalty. He gets the move done though, but Dylan, he just went a bit too deep there. Now with a penalty to his name, he threw everything at TDB. TDB did all he could to defend. Dylan got through. He's pulling away already. His pace is emphatic, but he has a penalty. And now Red going over the chicane. This is huge in the championship. The fend off then, and he's had a disaster at Monaco. He's in the wall behind. I think he's got away without damage, but Red having a miserable time of it, and at last TDB in from the lead.
That is a rookie error there for Recurric, turned in too early for Nouvelle Chicane and just clipped the inside wall. So easy to do, but from someone in such a comfortable championship lead. And look, he's into the pit lane on those hard compound tyres. I think he's decided that the hards aren't fast enough. He's come in for a set of medium tyres, TDB in for a set of medium compound tyres. He's going to come out in 14th place. That has not worked at all for TDB, who qualified so strongly. It looked like he could have had a good race today, and it's just fallen apart already for him. The strategy's not played out at all well. Dylan leads though with a time penalty, but getting that moved on to TDB has actually given him a 2-second buffer now back to Larkin, so that's kind of worked out quite nicely for Dylan despite the penalty, and I'm sure we'll see more drivers get penalty as this race goes on. Dylan now looking comfortable at the front, Larkin in second with Slash right behind him. Now these medium runners can start to stretch their legs a little bit. Can they now pull a bit more of a gap out to Falk behind, as now Slash picks up a time penalty? Falk now, this is a real test of his pace. Can he keep up with the medium runners now that they're no longer held back? And can Paco Matthew 40 find a way through?
Well, Paco's been getting very close in these last few laps, out threatening on the rear wing going into Portier, but ultimately he's not got the good enough edge, not got good enough traction. Has he got damage then, Paco? I'm looking into that. Yes, he does on that right end plate, and now Matthew 40 can have a run at him, but Paco, yes, good spot, Aiden. Now he's down isolated behind Falk. It looks like he's still got some decent enough pace in there, but that damage is holding him back. Mac maybe fancying his chances. Now he's really coming to the fore. He was looking like he was struggling to keep up. Now he's right there with him, pressuring Packer. Can Packer hold on to this though? And net receive get thrown away here. You can see the lack of down for Sur Casino. Matt all over him, can't get through, but Packer's that's a major issue. And now Matthew 40 claiming all over the rear wing in the Alfa Romeo there. The pole set are really coming to the fore now in this race.
This is a massive opportunity for Dylan. Dylan here has a great opportunity now. Our net race leader with front wing damage. Falk on that last lap, 1.5 seconds slower than Dylan. He really struggled on that previous lap. Packer still tucked right underneath the rear wing of that Haas despite the damage. But this damage now is going to make it even harder for him to make the overtake. And it's just going to allow Matthew 40 to close back in. And RX Assassin is now starting to close back in as well. He's dragging Gary and J. Cole with him as well. Nolan with a time penalty. His miserable race continues at the moment. Currently a lap down in last place, and someone's picked up damage at to back. I think that actually might be Nolan that's picked up that damage. It is. He dives into the pit lane for the 3rd time in this race. Dylan then leads this race already nearly 3 seconds ahead of Larkin, so he's 0.5 seconds a lap faster than the other medium runners, and he's nearly 1 second a lap faster than the hard runners at the moment. So Dylan's got a massive opportunity here of scoring some points, of which so far this season he's only scored 1.
Yeah, this is certainly the best opportunity Dylan's had in a while, but he's still, unless he has a stellar stint, he's going to have some cars to get through. TDB now on the charge again. He's got Ryan lined up then, heading into Sandevon. He has the Mercedes right in his view, but he can just see him getting away as he's low on the battery. Gets right up into Mass, and he's looking for the move into Casino, but it's not going to open up. He clouds the wall very slightly then. Is the Alfa Romeo still fighting this race then, heading into Maribor. I think he's damage free, but he's being held back. He needs to find a way through soon to make that strategy work. Ryan represents the back of the train. For the moment in the Vapor TDB now is lighting him up. Can he find a way through there? Heading into Portier as the Mercedes right in his view again on the overtake, but Ryan had a good enough exit. He's got more battery as well, but still the Dutchman will come at him looking for the move into the chicane. He's simply too far away. You need to be alongside to have a chance of getting through there, and so he has to wait out behind it. So TDB looking left and right, but ultimately not into the back. There's no braking zone there really. He has to sit behind, and Dylan, his pace is simply phenomenal. 4 seconds clear. Even with a penalty, he could push himself towards the pit window. These hard runners, there's a lot of pace left in these mediums. Can Dylan keep this going?
I really hope he can, actually. This is a great opportunity for Dylan to score some points. He's struggled so much so far this season. He's been very vocal about the fact that this season so far has been incredibly disappointing, as I think TDB going for the outside line around the outside of Ryan. It hasn't quite worked for him. I think he's got damage as well. Yes, he has on that left-hand side. So both Alfa Romeos now running around with damage. TDB on a really, really difficult strategy. Packer, our net race leader, running around with damage. And RX Assassin has now officially caught these guys. He's now in the queue, forming behind Falk. Interestingly enough, now Falk is running around at consistent pace. He's running at similar pace to Slash and Larkin in front. He's not too much slower, maybe a few tenths a lap slower than the medium runners in front. It's just Dylan's pace at the moment is utterly phenomenal on those medium tyres. So much faster than Larkin and Slash, which is so bizarre to see. Larkin and Slash, two drivers that have been so competitive so far this season. Slash already with a race win this season. Larkin has been up the front many, many times already, and Dylan is just driving clean away from them at nearly a second a lap at this point. The gap already 5.3 seconds. If he can get that gap up to about 9 or 10 seconds by the end of this stint, he could come out right in the thick of the battle. Was TDB, I think, going for another move on Ryan here through Raskas. Actually, no, TDB's dived into the pit lane in the end, so he's given up on that, and for another pit stop for TDB, what looks so promising for the Alfa Romeo driver has just fallen apart for him.
Yeah, he's had a miserable day. And TDB actually did go for a lunge into Razkas, but immediately dived to the pit lane. I think he was just trying to coast wide some time, then clearly not happy with that incident down at Sadovot. Then Nolan also in yet again in this race. What a miserable day he's had as well. But up at the front, Dylan, this is simply remarkable. His gap to Falk is 11 seconds, and his gap to Packer critically 11.5 seconds. And the pit lane loss at this track, the pit lane delta, is about 18 seconds. And so he can find a bit more time. He's driving clean away from the field, even with a penalty. Dylan has a chance here. There's going to be a lot more life in these tires still as well. They can continue to push out. The Haas will not quite be coming into play just yet. So Packer needs to find a way past Falk, but he's simply not been able to do so. Falk is holding his own, driving cleanly, and there's no way for anyone else to get through, and they're having to sit in tandem. Now it's Packer, Matt, RX Assassin, Gary, Jacob, they're all with it. Even Nud has now clambered onto the rear of the train then, and so it's all building up behind the leading Haas, and a bit of a gap down to McCross. Nico, that seems to be representing the back of the drivers in contention in this race, but Packer is still hounding Falk, but cannot quite get through. They are just slightly slower, ever so slightly slower than Larkin and Slash, but Dylan driving clear. 7 seconds is the advantage up in the field. At the moment, there's no one on track. This consistent pace is even close to the Mercedes driver.
Where has this come from? This pace is absolutely insane. That last lap, Dylan did a 1 minute 12.5 compared to Packer on a 1:14 dead. 1.5 seconds a lap faster. Give it a few more laps. If he can get these tyres to lap 21, he could put on a fresh set of hard compound tyres, and he could be in the net race lead here. This is a massive opportunity for Dylan now, even with that penalty, because especially if he pits now and beats Packer out of the pit lane, Packer with that damage is just going to have nothing to fight with. He's got no front end grip, and he won't have the tyre life left either at all. They're 14 laps old, those hard tyres, already at this point in the race. Dylan is just driving away from the field, still in the 12s on that lap, and Slash critically has already decided to come in. So Slash has had enough of those tyres. He can't take them any further in the race. On that lap, Packer again a 14 flat, so still Dylan well over a second a lap faster than all of the hard runners. Give it a few laps, he could jump the lot of them.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, that pit stop gap, that delta, is about 18 seconds. Now, Packer sits 13.5 seconds behind Dylan, so give it a few more laps and he might well be in contention. Dylan, though, has to keep going. He does have a penalty, but with better tyres underneath him, he'll probably be going for softs if he wishes to keep going. But even if he goes for hards, in a bit of a less ambitious strategy, he keeps them going, he'll have that tyre advantage, can look to try and pull out a gap, and maybe the rest of them won't have a prayer that TDB has had enough. He's out the session. Had a real shot early in the race, but ultimately just couldn't make that strategy work, and an incident with Ryan put those chances to bed. Packer is really starting to get up to Falk, then he's situation with Dylan, so crushingly powerful up at the front and pulling clear. Falk's holding it back, he's going to look to get through again. RX Assassin has dropped off a little bit, is going to try and work himself back up towards Matt 240. Matt looks content to sit behind Packer, and of course these two were stunningly fast and qualified, but can they outpace Dylan, who's going to have better tyres than Dylan? Even so, will not be far behind this train, but making the overtakes is not going to be too much for him, but I think he is now. Maybe the hard tyres coming back into it. It wasn't too bad a lap for Falcon Packer. That was, I think, a little bit less than a second lost, and so Dylan needs to try and hold on to these tyres and keep pressing at the front then. Now Matt 240 is harrying the rear leg of QVR Packer, then trying to get up towards Maribor. That one is not going to come through. Simply just could not get around. The braking zone's too short around here. You need a major mistake for the car in front, or much grippier tyres to find a way through. But Packer, even without Falk having DRS, he can't get good enough runs off the traction, so it's the trouble, Falk. And Falk's getting good exits off of Portier and off of Antinouge, where the corners that really matter for overtaking around here. Packer's giving it everything he's got, sitting within half a second, and ultimately he cannot get through at the moment, and Falk, just not making errors, can easily hold back the net race leader as it stands.
And at the moment, Falk on a set of hard compound tyres can go for at least another 10 laps and go for the softs. So Falk can stay out for much longer in this race. Dylan, while Falk is staying out, Dylan must stay out. Even if he starts to lose a little bit more pace on these mediums, he's got to stay out while Falk is still out there as well. He's just got to use Falk as an opportunity to jump these guys. The gap continues now to extend. The gap's nearly 15 seconds already. It's getting there. It's getting very, very close. By the time he pits now, he would be, I think, right at the back, if not ahead of the likes of maybe J. Cole and Noon. So he's not far off doing it at this point in the race. He's just got to stay out, make the most of these tyres while he still can. Larkin as well, at the moment, just on those medium compound tyres, hasn't got the pace that Dylan has. Dylan has just driven off into the distance now, fully clear of the rest of the field, and Slash has had to pit another time in this race. Both Williams have had an absolute disaster in this race. Second in the championship going into this one, 14th at the moment in the field. Championship leader as well, still outside the points in 13th place. This could really swing the championship on its head, especially with Packer and Matt running in a net 1-2. But at the moment, how on earth is Dylan not going to win this race? This is, well, at the moment, this is playing up beautifully for the Mercedes driver.
And Packer looking at the rear wing of Falk. Falk made a mistake going through the Nobel chicane. Packer gave it everything but couldn't quite get through. He's right on him going through it this last sector of the 20th lap. Then as we reach the halfway point in the race, he's trying to get away through but couldn't quite keep pace. And Falk will hold on for yet longer. And that gap to Dylan continues to extend now. It's right on the cusp. Dylan can keep those tyres going for a few more laps, and he is on for jumping these guys. Falk now with a penalty. That is going to allow these guys to jump through at the moment in terms of net position, but it's not enough. Falk's spinning anyway. He's going to get out of the way. We'll see what he can do in that last then. Soft tire surely to go on. We'll see if he can fly through the end of the race then. He is going to come out near the back of the train, try and work his way back through. Rex out there on fresh tires now, closing up to XL Ryan, but the gaps are too big up ahead then, I think, for him to get any significant amount of points, and he is going to get caught. That championship lead may well come down. Slash's nearest rival though has also had a measurable day, so I think again the championship's going to bunch up. There we go, yellows out there on the track. I think that was that Nico maybe going off there. I'm not sure who that was then, but the McLaren dropping back and making an error. Nico now detached from the train. He's not had a good day as well, then he's on the fringes of the point. Nico promised to qualify, but the race just hasn't gone his way.
No, it's just not worked out so far. I didn't quite see what happened. I don't know if he made a mistake going down into the lows there, but I think he just ran a little bit deep and had to almost come to a stop to avoid hitting the barriers, and I think he maybe lost a place or just lost out time to McCrass in the process as well. It's just not been a great day for Nico. Dylan, though, continues to stay out on the track, and we are nearly at 18 seconds. It's right on the bubble now. It's nearly there for Dylan. This has been a stunning race so far. I don't want to jinx him. I'm going to touch wood for Dylan. This could be an amazing result if he can pull this off. A Packer just can't find a way through. This is the exact proof that doesn't matter how fast you are, doesn't matter what strategy you're on, if you are on the wrong part of the track at the wrong time, you will get caught out. Packer, even with damage, is much faster than Falk. Matu 40, much faster than the pair of them, but has been stuck here since lap 2. They can't find a way through. They have been stuck here for 20 laps. It just goes to show that you can be as fast as you want in qualifying, but if you make a strategy that puts you down in the back of the pack, it could cost you out massively. Dylan qualified 11th in this race, I believe, if not 12th for this race, and is now running at the front of the field with a great opportunity at winning because he went for something different on the strategy and he's staying out on the track for another lap longer. I think he's going to try and maybe extend for a set of soft compound tyres.
And he is clear. Now, if he comes in, well, he may not be guaranteed, but he's got a great chance of getting the lead anyway, and he's got fresher tyres to boot. If that's not the case, he can continue to extend. Larkin is running, well, quite significantly further behind, but he's even got a bit of a chance there if he gets some fresh softs on. He can also fly up to that group then. Packer will be leading it with wing damage then. Matt 240, as we mentioned, he has the theoretical pace. Slash now with a penalty. Miserable day for MMA Slash. His season has just been on the downward curve ever since that phenomenal win in Austria at the king of the season. But you can see now Packer beginning to struggle. Maybe he's putting a bit more stress on those tyres with the wing damage, allowing Matt 240 to begin to get up to him. And Matt's not out of this just yet. For maybe get a P2, but I think that Dylan's way gone. Then Slash has had enough. He's out as well. Just 15 cars remain. And Nolan a long way off the back of the field as well. Everyone else is in more contention and looking to try and play a part and fight for points. And the final laps, then we head into the last phase of the race. Very soon we'll see when this race being defined. Close battle of track that is between Ryan and Rick. Rick had a bit of a run at Ryan a few laps ago, heading up Beau Rivage, tried to get alongside, didn't work and went into the wall, heading up the flat out section through the first sector, ultimately got wing damage now, so his strategy has been completely worked against. The tyre advantage looks incredibly powerful round here, but ultimately if you don't have track position it's hard to make that work. Dylan now 15 seconds leading. He's got over 19 seconds to Falk now. He's driving away, and barring a major error the Mercedes driver is up for a shock race victory here at Monaco.
This is absolutely brilliant stuff. On that last lap, Dylan, you can tell they started to struggle on his sides. He's starting to understeer, but he was still 0.6 of a second faster than Packer on that last lap. It just goes to show that staying out while Falk is still out there is working beautifully for him. While the pace has dropped off, he's still faster than all the hard runners. He's just got to make hay while the sun shines. He doesn't want to take the risk of coming in too early and being jumped by drivers around. There's a lot of Constantina as well going on at lows, I think, in that hard queue. I think people have got away with it, but it is really starting to tuck up now behind Falk on the road. Falk is running at similar pace to Larkin. Larkin's just nearly a second a lap slower now than Dylan. Dylan then coming round the Raskas corner. Does he come into the pit lane? No, he stays out another lap. I think this man's going to go to maybe the end of lap 26 or 27, put on a set of soft compound tyres, and if he does, I think it might be game over. He could just disappear off into the distance.
He's already more than 20 seconds now to Falk. That gap continues to extend, and ultimately Packer and Matt 240 are helpless to find a way through. Packer has thrown everything at the Haas, but it's still not quite been enough to get through, and Matt 240 has been ever frustrated in behind. The man who dominated qualifying has not been able to get through. Packer is right on the back of Falk, but he doesn't have the downforce to get through. No wing damage, and he may have had a good enough run up Beau Rivage, but it's still not to be, and he's going to be compromised. Heading up, that's Casino section then, heading through Casino Square now. He's right on the back of Falk, but ultimately he just can't get a good enough run. Alex Assassin is with these guys. Matt go right up to Packer then. I'm not sure if the Red Bull driver has gone away with that, but again he gets so close. These guys at nervy times in the race then. Matt trying to hurry Packer, can't quite get through. Dylan now 21 seconds in front now. He can pit when he wants. He can put on hard tyres, and he's a favourite to win this race. Of course he might not get, he doesn't get a 3-second gap. Let's not forget this one. He is going to stay out another lap then. He's going for softs to the end and trying to fly through. Larkin now 16 seconds behind. Larkin I think is a decent enough pace in the medium. It's about where I was expecting from the medium runners. But Dylan has gone above and beyond, and Packer tries he might. He cannot get through, and Falk's still holding it back. The Haas has simply put such a dampener on these guys' race. He can try and have a good last stint as well. Packer and Matt, they've thrown everything at it, but it's not enough, and they've looked at no point like they're going to get through and take that third place.
No, crucially, that damage for Packer has cost him the opportunity, at least any opportunity of trying to make an overtake stick on Falk. That damage has cost him, and this could be the third time this season that Packer misses out on his first victory and ends up in second place. He missed out in Austria by less than 2 seconds. He missed out on a penalty, won that race on the track, won Canada on the track as well, and lost out to Matthew Forti by 0.2 of a second. This time around, he looked like the favourite early on to take the victory after the pit stops, and now could lose out to Dylan in this one, who has driven a sublime race so far. I'd like to say sorry to Rick. I gave Rick maybe driver of the season so far in Austria for that run from 16th to 3rd in Austria. This time around, though, this run from Dylan has been nuts. I cannot give it another word. It has been a crazy performance so far. At this point in the race, Dylan, he has a massive slide through Raskas, but he's into the pit lane, so he doesn't have to worry too much about sliding through Raskas. He's into the pits. He's going for a set of hards. Ooh. He's not gone for the softs, so I think maybe he's thinking that the softs can't quite get to the end of the race over there, and he just wanted to stay out for as long as possible to try and build up enough of a buffer to make this strategy work for him. Larkin's staying out, so I think Larkin's going to jump Dylan here. This could be crucial for Dylan's race, as if Larkin jumps him, which he will by the looks of things. Larkin now the net race lead, now into the lead of the race, still yet to pit. Larkin will probably be in the next couple of laps or so. Dylan now just needs to get up to the back of Larkin, doesn't need to panic, just needs to sit there, wait for Larkin to pit, and then when Larkin does pit, Dylan can start to push.
Yeah, he's away clear now. He's out penalty range behind then. Packer is still on the back of Falk, but his high-speed section is where that wing damage is going to hurt him most. He's still right on the back of him. Heading towards Barrow, a bit of an error from Falk, but even that is not enough. Still, Packer, he doesn't have the low-speed pickup out of the corners to be able to challenge Falk still. He's threw everything at him still. He's pushing him round the Grand Hotel hairpin, but still, Falk's defence holds up, and he is really put a damper on these guys racing. It's down to noon. The 6th car frustrated train. Dylan's passed Larkin already. I think Larkin has allowed him through. He knows the grip advantage, and he knows now Dylan clearing away at the front. He waves about the track. Then does he know that this is in his hands now? He moves to the front. Larkin will probably come through very soon. He may go for softs and just try and get himself up to the train. He is penalty free, so he will have that chance. Larkin barreling round now, just under 4 seconds clear. The pack behind stays out still. Those mediums are starting to go off. Dylan up the front, almost 10 seconds clear now already. He can cruise down to the end. He's got almost no pressure, just has to avoid the walls, and he's got a certain race win in store from 11th on the grid. What a drive from Dylan. That's going to be a contender for best of the season.
Absolutely insane performances. I cannot put into words how amazing this performance has been from Dylan. He's had such a horrible season up to this point. He's been so downbeat about his season so far. He's just been so downbeat about it. He just thought that he was going to get moved down to Division 3. He didn't think he was fast enough for this division anymore. After a strong season last time around, fighting Rukurik in many races, losing out on the championship fight towards the end of the season, this season he just thought that this was his time in D2. Completely up. This performance could put him right back in the fray. This is another one of those performances that could throw him right into the mix of things in the championship, especially with none of our real top performers in the championship, apart from Packer and Matthew Forti, really scoring solid points. Gary in 7th isn't scoring solid points at the moment. Obviously still waiting for Larkin and Falk to pit. Anything can change in this race, but Noon not up there at the moment. He's 9th with a penalty. Rukurik out of the point, Slash out of the race completely. So I mean, at this point in this championship, Dylan, this performance could throw him right back into the mix.
Yeah, certainly. Let's see if he can just survive these final 11 laps. He gets another penalty, and actually, he's not safe yet. I think he is just about safe, actually, to Packer. The gap is just 6.5 seconds. He can't afford another one. Dylan, he's 6 seconds of penalties. He's still firmly in the driver's seat, and he is way quicker than that hard train. But maybe a Packer really rallies. Yes, just I saw a big slide from him going through Maribor. Dylan, a few little heart and mouth moments here, but he just needs to see this one through now. He is comfortably favoured in this race, and now Packer staring at the back of the Haas as he has been all evening long, and he's dragged this train with him. Falk, he'll probably be going in very soon, getting some softs on there. He can probably pit this lap or maybe the next few. Larkin as well will probably go in. Larkin now being caught gradually by this train. His pace has just dropped off. The mediums have fallen off in the last few laps. They're going to be screaming from underneath him, but he can get fresh tyres on and just get to the end. Maybe he can get a decent haul of points. He will be behind Nico, I think. But we'll see what he can do to fight through. It is so close from Falk down to Nico. That's going to be bunched up there, but Larkin is now going to at last dive to the pit lane. Falk staying out again, and to the despair of Packer, Matthew 40, Rarks, Assassin, Gary, J. Cole Noonan, even McCross and Nico, who aren't far away. They are still their race dictated by the Haas. They got 7 seconds. Dylan is faster than these guys. He's clear of these guys, even without a penalty. You sense that Packer and Matt, with wing damage for Packer, they're going to need miracles to win this race, unless Dylan gets a major error. He's got this in the bag then, and Packer and Matt U40 from dominant qualifying positions are going to have to settle for the podium. Still good points, but they'll think of what could have been. The strategy is what cost them here today.
It really did, yeah. Pitting under the first safety car seemed like a good opportunity at the time, seemed like a smart choice, but actually looking at it now, wasn't the right thing to do, with so many people, with only even 5 drivers staying out on the track. Just those 5 drivers alone ruins really the momentum that Packer and Matthew 40 could have had in this race. It just dropped them so much time at the start of this race. They just can't really recover from it at this point. I will say though, Dylan, now in the lead of this race, isn't really pulling away. The gap between him and Falk is staying at 7.2 seconds. I don't know if Dylan has some sort of issue or something, but I was just riding on board with him there. He wasn't using a lot of the rev range. He was upshifting very early on, and it's a 14.2 on that lap, 1.9 seconds off his personal best. Dylan can't afford to wait around any longer. The pack is now free. Falk has come into the pit lane finally after 28 laps on those hards. He's finally into the pit lane. Dylan's got an 8.6 second gap back to Packer. He can't slow down now because Packer and Matthew 40 could have a go. Matthew 40 now trying to have a go. And Packer in towards Massenet. That's a really, really bold opportunity. He's made it stick though. What a move from Matthew 40, recognising that Packer has that damage. Packer couldn't do anything to fight against it. Matthew 40 spied a gap. Stunning stuff, and he's finally through on Packer and up into second place. Can he maybe now try and chase down Dylan for the race lead?
He's going to have a really tall order in front of him. That gap is already increasing on this lap. Maybe Dylan was listening to you. He's beginning to respond. Matthew 40. That was brilliant into Massenet, and ultimately Packer stuck on the outside with less downforce. Couldn't hold it back, and through goes Matt in a P2. Can he continue to push through? RX Assassin is maybe eyeing a podium. He's got to run at him. Matt's pace is very strong early on out the box. He's already looking to get out of that DRS range. 3 seconds nip gap to Dylan. Is that maybe a possibility? Let's track the pace, but Matt is flying. He's already got that gap cleared. Is this going to be qualifying laps to the end then? Matt... Dylan has much fresher tyres, but Matthew 40, well, we saw the qualifying pace, we saw his remarkable drive at Canada. Can he do it? Dylan is still hands down over this one. Packer now with a penalty, and it's a double whammy for Packer. He got overtaken, lost that gap. RX Assassin behind him, and all of a sudden what looked like a second place has gone to blows for Packer. He's losing critical championship points. Matthew 40 is looking to jump him. Packer had so much opportunity in this race, but so far it's looking not to be, and it looks like he's just going to try and hang on, maybe secure a top 5 in the Monaco Grand Prix. He's now really struggling. 2 seconds gap from Matt. Now can Assassin get up to him? This is bitter disappointment now from Packer.
Yeah, I think his pace was somewhat hidden by the fact that he was stuck behind Falk, and now that Falk has been released, the true pace of that Alfa Romeo is coming to fruition with that damage, and it's just not fast enough at this point in the race. The good thing, though, for RX Assassin and Gary, Matthew 40 has disappeared off up in the distance. I think if RX Assassin tries to go for the move on Packer, he's not going to catch either of the top 2 at this point in the race. So RX Assassin can just sit behind Packer and pick up a podium on penalties. Gary could pick up a 4th place in this one. Jacob Wanoon still with that penalty. McCrass and Nico have caught these guys. Larkin and Falk are coming at them very quickly as well. Larkin absolutely flying, has halved the gap to Nico in 1 lap. He is flying on those soft compound tyres, playing up to back of this queue of cars. Doesn't have a penalty yet either, so he could capitalise on a lot of drivers in front of him very soon to join the queue. And I'm still a little bit surprised in this race that Dylan decided to go for the hard compound tyres. I think that race victory might have been all the more secure than it is at the moment. He's got a 3.2 second gap back to Matthew 40, who's looking strong on these tyres. I think Dylan at this point is just not pushing, not taking any risks.
Yeah, the gap has pretty much stabilised. That's all that Dylan needs then. Matt is, I'm sure, getting it all he's got, and he is driving superbly. Look at the gap he's opened up to Packer. If he was maybe the car that was challenging Falk, this race could have well ended up very differently, but right now, Matt... he's doing all he can, but at the moment it's not quite enough. RX Assassin is still chasing down Packer. He maybe wants this on track as well, but if the risk isn't worth taking, I'm sure he won't go for it. Gary in behind is looking to capitalise from any mistakes, but look at the rear of the train. XL Larkin's pace is incredible. He's now caught Nico. He was about 8 seconds behind him a few laps ago. Now has the McLaren lined up, has so much more tyre grip now underneath him. Can the Racing Point make these moves? McCrass has made a mistake up the road through the swimming pool. He's letting these guys through. So McCrass going off then here on lap 33. He has wing damage. He dives to the pit lane and he thinks that it's too severe for him to continue. Up in this train, he may go for fastest lap later on. Oh, bit of disappointment from McCrass. He was driving a solid race. It's going to lose several positions now from this. And dropping like a stone through the order now. Coming up now, 6.5 laps to go. Larkin now, right there with Nico. Look at the grip through the casino section. Can he get a better run through the exit? Nico is holding him back, doing everything he can. Now overtaking at Monaco. They say there's no harder task in the sport, but Nico, you sense defending maybe even tougher. Larkin all over him, trying to find a way through. Larkin pushing him around the hair, but surely Nico can't hold this back. He used Monaco to his advantage, but Larkin has time to make this work. Can the soft tires hold up? Where can Larkin get now? He's got maybe a chance at a top 6 finish on the strategy. He gets up to the slipstream with Nico. Nico now using it in response in defence. Now looking to the inside line. No, Larkin doesn't get through. He's all over the McLaren. Nico just holding him back for how much longer can he keep this 8th position?
The problem is now that Nico, having been released from the back of McCrass, has immediately caught the queue of cars in front, so he's immediately right into DRS finish of noon. But look at the run that Larkin got through the second part of the swimming pool, just not enough room down into Raskas to think about a move. Is he going to think about a move coming up towards turn 1? He nearly runs into the back of Nico. Anthony knows, doesn't get the best run off the corner, and Nico gets a better run and has better ERS, so he can hold on to that place for the time being. Larkin at the moment will gain 2 places on penalties, possibly 3 if he can get close enough to Packer, who was already 7 seconds behind Matthew 40. That damage has ruined Packer's race. Matthew 40 has slightly closed in on Dylan. The gap is now down to 8.9 as someone's had a spin. That's Nolan, who was spun yet again in this race, down in 14th. Good on Nolan for still going in this race, despite being a lap down on every single person in the field. He's still going, I think, hoping that 2 more people maybe retire from this race and he can pick up a point. But my word, at the front of this field, it is looking so interesting. Matthew 40 is slightly faster than Dylan. Dylan has the tyre advantage. Matthew 40 is flying, though, on those 32-lap-old hard compound tyres that have nearly done a full race distance. And actually, as well, looking at the back of this queue, Falca's now caught these guys as well. As all Nico has a massive moment coming out of the Nouvelle chicane, but just about gets away with it.
How quickly Falk has caught is a testament to the extra grip and lap time that these guys are getting out of the soft tyres, but Larkin struggling to get away through. He's looking to the outside, heading into Razkaz, and then a little look from Falcon behind, trying to follow through. Larkin in behind, but his battery is too low for him to really have an overtaking opportunity. Nico can just hold it back, and he's also getting these positions. He's got a potential even top 5 finish here. We'll see. The race has really came good for him. He is just about within range of Packer as it stands to benefit, so Nico could be over P5 here, and Larkin as well challenging for that 6th place. Can't get through maybe if he finds a manoeuvre out on track. Then you can see further up the field though, Jacob is hassling Gary. He's got a penalty as well to his name, and RX Assassin is queuing up behind Packer, but ultimately cannot get away through then, and the American still holding on at the front then. Matthew 40 is still flying up to Dylan. He is dragging everything out of this car. He has pushed this last, and it's been a valiant effort from Matt, but you sense that Dylan has just been in control of the front end. Further down the order, McCrass and Ryder side by side now, heading in to Mirabel, and they lean on each other through the apex, and also Falcon. Larkin's gone off. Larkin off, spinning off. Did he hit that wall? Maybe it's wrecked it early on in the race. Larkin dropping back now. Falc's in the ascendancy. Now that's Nico to boot now as McCrass. Ryan's made a mistake. I think he caught him in contact. He now slips back from the rear wing. And now he is dropped back. He is out of the points that stands in. Wrecker McCrass being promoted. They run 11th and 12th. Larkin will continue on P10, but ultimately that mistake cost him there. Now Falk is on the back of Nico on the ERS. Now heading up Boulevard. Can he find a way through on the McLaren? Then he's looking to the inside. That one is caught off then. Nico defends the line through the entry. Will hold on to it. Noon up in front is looking under pressure as well for Ferrari. They're all still running in line, and tandem coming up there with just over 3 laps to go here in Monaco. Dylan is clear. He's got 8.6 second lead. Matt completely saved the second. Packer started far from safe. RX Assassin is on to benefit from that. And RX Assassin, you have to say, we've not even mentioned him that much. Just a really solid drive. Kept it in the mix all the way through. And it looks like he's going to be rewarded a podium if he can just keep it together these last few laps.
Yeah, it's been a really, really good debut from RX Assassin. We've not seen him. This is his first time this season that he's been racing. And to be up there in the mix with Gary and Jacob and the likes of that and be ahead of them and not crack under pressure has been very strong from the AlphaTauri reserve driver. This is a really, really good debut showing for him. It's just a shame for RX Assassin that he's been somewhat overshadowed in this race by the performance, really, of the top two in this race. Batu 40 continuing to close that gap. 8 seconds is the gap now, only a 2-second buffer that Dylan has. I'm still perplexed as to why Dylan decided to go for the hards instead of the soft compound tyres. We've seen with Falcon and Larkin as well how much pace the soft compound tyres have. They were nearly 3 seconds a lap faster than everyone around them on the set of the soft compound tyres. Dylan would have driven off into the distance on those tyres and not really had many issues with tyre wear at this point in the race. So a little bit bizarre that he's gone for the hard compound tyres instead. At the moment, it's doing him enough. He's got 2 laps to go before his first win of the season. Let's see if he can hold on to it. A 2.3 second buffer. It's going to take probably a mistake from Dylan or another penalty for him to lose this race at this point.
Oh, I just want to point out RX Assassin, who actually has a rev glitch. My apologies, this isn't his name. He's actually Creekle New, who's had a name change. So yeah, sorry for that misinformation throughout the stream. But even so, he is on for maybe grabbing a podium out there on the track at the moment. He can just sit on the rear wing. Oh, QBR Packer, 2 to go. You're in Monaco, and XL Dylan is away and gone at the front. Could just cruise home to the race victory. Matt 240 has put in a sterling effort in the last stint, but at the moment it's looking like it's not quite going to be enough. Still, you can see that no one's actually in the middle of this straight. Falcons tried to hassle Nico. That's not come through. And at the moment, Larkin is over benefiting from Falcons' penalty. Jaco still with Gary. Maybe dreaming of getting that 5th place out on track, but it looks unlikely. Just a lap and a half to go. And we might well try Dylan. I don't think we're going to see much, if any, overtaking down in that big train that has defined this race. It has changed the complexity of it. But Dylan and also Matt behind him have had no issue being a part of it. We actually got yellows though down there. I think that was just down to bunching up and concertina effect down at the hairpin. I don't think we've actually seen any real changes in the position, any real changes in the standings in the race at the moment. Dylan out there, he's extended that gap a little bit. 9 seconds, he's got 3 seconds in hand with 6 seconds of penalties now. To the line he goes. And now you can control this final lap of the race. Take us through it, and let's see the Mercedes bring this one home.
Yeah, heading up the hill, then up towards Massenet. What a drive this has been so far from Dylan. By far, probably his best performance in LOE. Absolutely stunning as he heads now down through Casino. You can see on board with him, he's just backed off. He is not pushing whatsoever. Nice and neat, keeping it well away from the walls, basically driving in the middle of the road, trying not to cause any damage to his car. A little bit further down the field as well, J. Cole still trying to get that move done on Gary, but at the moment it's not going to come to anything, considering J. Cole has that time penalty. Dylan then through the tunnel, you can see behind as well, Matt has definitely backed off. The gap is increasing as the lap goes on. Matt with 37 lap old hard compound tyres, surely right on the brink of a puncture territory on those tyres. Can't get them to the end. Dylan now just needs to keep it clean in his final few corners, through to back, and now heading up towards the swimming pool section into the final sector. Dylan, this has been a masterclass. What a drive from the Mercedes driver.
Now just has one more corner to navigate. Started 11, looked unlikely. The strategy paid off. He had one of the best stints I've ever seen on the medium tires. And XL Dylan wins the Monaco Grand Prix. What a drive. What a performance. That was inch perfect. Matt 240. Great recovery given the strategy he was on. He gets P2 with a stunning final stint. Packer, what could have been without damage? He may well have won this race in the end. Got caught up behind Falco all the way through. And now he's going to have to settle for P3 on track, but he's going to drop back his RX Assassin after such a difficult and testing season. Gets P3 in the end. 4th place goes the way of Gary. 5th goes to his teammate Nico. 6th to Packer, narrowly missing out on the top 5. Larkin does get 7th down on that alternate strategy. 8th place to Jaco, his teammate, dropping back. Nunes P9 after that stop goes set back both him and Jaco. Falk is P10 in the end. Rick, though, has championship lead. may well be cut down after this one because Matt 240 with a really good second place then. Rick is P11. Ryan and Nolan have already come through. They're P13, P14. McCrass will come through last and P12 and picking up the final points for the Monaco Grand Prix. That is it. And all you can say is, what a drive from XL Dillon. He is back on form here in Division 2.
Yeah, sorry, like I said earlier on, sorry to Rikurik, I'm going to have to take the title away from you. That is drive of the season so far from Dillon. Dillon really nowhere in qualifying, wasn't quite up the front. He wasn't slow by any stretch of the way in qualifying, just didn't have the raw speed that we saw from some of the other guys at the front. And we said at the start of the race that the alternate strategy isn't that strong around here, but that early safety car played beautifully for Dillon. He passed Slash when Slash made the mistake. He got the move done on the race leader TDB, got that move done, got a gap, and then that stint, like you said, on the medium compound tyres, I've never seen anything like it. People may say that he got lucky with the fact that Packer got held up behind Fout for so long, but him and Dillon and Larkin were on the same strategy, and Dillon just drove away from Larkin, nearly a pit stop clear of him. That is a fully deserved, brilliant victory from Dillon, by far his best performance in LOE.
Yeah, that is his third victory in the league, and I can certainly say that was the best drive of the lot. He wins at Matt 240 as well. For pole position, I don't think he could have done much more in that race. He does a very good job as well, gets the P3. RX Assassin has had, as I mentioned, a really difficult season so far. Came good tonight. He is third place. He stands on the podium alongside Dylan and Matt. XL Gary, P4. Quiet race after a poor start to the race, but he does recover, get 4th place in the end with no penalties. Nico as well, didn't look up for him most of the way through the race, but he does back up Gary. Top 5 for both the McLarens, good day for them today. Packer, as I mentioned, what could have been, he does get P6 in the end though. Decent enough points from Larkin P7. Jake Noon, Falk round out the top 10. Really a bit of a difficult race for a lot of the drivers. Rick and McCrass out, round out the points finishers, then Ryan and Nolan a few laps down, then Slash, TDB and Yorno. Didn't make it. Couldn't see out the checkered flag. That is it for the racing here tonight. Aiden, I think you're going to try and get our podium sitters in for an interview, and I'm certainly looking forward to hearing from all those guys tonight. What a drive from Dylan. Matt T40 P2, RX Assassin P3 in another race that is going to drastically shape up that championship order.
Yeah, it really is as well. Matthew 40, I think that is a great performance from Matthew 40 as well. It's a shame that, like you say, just got kind of held up in the queue. Couldn't really do much more than he could have done in that race. Had incredible raw speed all the way throughout. But that second place for him, despite him not picking up the win, which I'm sure he's gutted to miss out on, the fact that most of his championship rivals really floundered in that race is great for him. Rikurik only 11th with the fastest lap, but still only 11th in the field. That was a really, really shocking day for Rikurik. Slash no points at all. Packer throwing away a podium with that damage and that late penalty as well. So Matthew 40 now surely going to be right at the front of the championship and the one with the momentum at this point.
I'm thinking he's only going to be a couple points off the lead. If that, it's certainly going to be very close. Certainly Packer have still got decent points. He's going to be right in there as well. Slash though, miserable day. Rick not much better. Those top 2 in the championship could well be seeing that lead begin to get whittled down. They're going to have to look to get back on form throughout the remainder of the season. This has been so uncompetitive, so unpredictable, I think I should have said, that we're seeing all these different results. That is 5 winners from 5 races so far this season, and we do have now one of them alongside us in the party, Matt 240, joining us as well. I'm going to come to you first though, Dylan. I'm assuming you're all fine with audio, considering you used to commentate for us, so I'm hoping that's the case. Are you all fine?
Yes, let me actually double check, I'm not too sure. Yeah, should be fine.
Okay, good to hear. So coming to you first, that was simply sensational from you. I have very little words to describe that. Obviously, early on, qualifying didn't go your way, but what were your thoughts then, obviously with that first lap safety car? Were you committed to that strategy staying out on mediums, and did you really have faith that it would work out in the way that it did?
Well, I mean, in qualifying I could have maybe gone 1 or 2 tenths faster, but I saw that there was a big gap between me and P12 behind, so I knew the mediums were extremely quick in the race, and they lasted for a while. And I watched the D1 race as well, where there was also lap 1 safety car, and I saw the opportunity of basically everyone that went on the hards was actually kind of slow, and I think it was Chapelelli that was on the hard tire. He started on the hard tires and held Montana and the entire train up for almost the entire race. So I just I knew the mediums were quick, and I just did great laps on them, and I'm just still shaking from that run. I don't know what I just did. It's insane.
Yeah,
I really, really, really want to thank Falk so much, because probably without Falk, there's no chance of me winning that. There's probably a chance of me getting P11 if he wasn't there, and it's just insane what happened.
When did it register to you that you had a real chance of winning that? We clocked it when that gap was started really pushing up, especially once you made that move on TDB for the lead. You started pulling clear at a tremendous rate. At what point were you confident that you could come through with the race win? Did you see that gap to that train behind, and did you genuinely believe you could get that pit stop gap that you needed?
I think around lap 15 or 14-ish, I basically registered that I was getting a lot of time to Falk behind, and maybe even a pit stop range, and then literally a couple of laps later, or 10 laps or so later, I just don't know, man. This is crazy. Like me, I am usually very bad around Monaco. I don't know what's happened here, and this is just insane. I'm like so happy that this miraculously happened. It's literally a miracle, because Falk held everyone up. If Falk didn't start on the hards, I wouldn't have won the race. And if Slash didn't make that mistake early on in the race to let me get past him, then I would have probably been behind him the entire medium stint. So like those crucial things helped out, and it literally like everything lined up perfectly for me that race.
Yeah, those crucial things definitely helped out, and then when you got the gap, when you got the free air, your pace was unbelievably it was amazing. It was far better than anyone else that was running similar strategies to you. You pulled away at Larkin at almost a second a lap at one point. It was absolutely stunning pace. I think for me, the question for me as well was that pit stop. You pitted, I think, lap 25. Put on a set of hard compound tyres. I was a little bit surprised to see you go for the hard compound tyres initially. I thought you'd maybe go a couple laps longer, go for the softs. Was that the plan initially, to go for the softs, or did you just think go to the hards and play it safe?
To be very honest, the plan was to go onto the softs, but I basically said to myself, once I got the pit stop delta to, I think the pit stop delta around 20 seconds around Monaco, and I think if I had that range to Falk basically behind, then I would just go onto the hard tires. And I saw at some point that I felt that my tires basically started to go down a little bit, the mediums compared to Falk's hard. So I think it was just I just went onto the mediums to basically secure the race win, because I knew I had the pit stop delta, and I had 25 lap fresher tires than Packer and Matt behind me, so I knew it was going to be fine, that I could pull away from them. And I even got a couple of time penalties stupidly around Monaco. Usually you don't see that very often.
Yeah, but thank you very much, Dylan. Congratulations on the race victory, and if you're still shaking, then you feel free to just calm yourself down a bit. But coming now to our second place finisher, Matt 240. Can you hear us? Are you all fine on the audio side of things?
Yeah, all good.
Alright, excellent. First of all, I need to start with qualifying. You just looked a cut above, a class above everyone else in quality. Talk us through your experience throughout that session. It's the most difficult qualifying, the most important qualifying of the entire season. You came out on top. Talk us through what came together to pull together that great performance.
I was with I think Montana in the party, and he just said, "Oh yeah, just pick the balance and go for the first lap on mediums, so you have a decent delta that you can refer to whilst on your lap, whether you're improving enough or not." And all of a sudden, I set at 8.7, and I was like, "Wait, hold up." And after that, it was just about improving my time slowly but surely, and then the last two runs, I just really went for it.
Yeah, obviously the pole position lap, stunning stuff. You were well clear. Of course, that first lap safety car kind of turned the race on its head. What was their thoughts? Because going through that pit stop, you were very unlucky, got yourself jumped by Packer and then stuck up behind Falk. What was your experience? I imagine that very frustrating experience through that train. And do you think that if you were in Packer's position, you would have maybe been able to find a way through and keep that race winning dream alive?
Well, of course, this is all just talk. It's hard to say. Packer, of course, got damaged pretty early on in the hard stint, and from that point onwards, you could tell that he had the pace. But when he really tried to make that last step before the overtake, he couldn't get close enough because of the damage. So yeah, it's hard to say. I would have had a better chance, of course, because I didn't have damage. But yeah, I don't know.
Talk us through that. Sorry, sorry, Aiden, but talk us through that move that you made on Packer later, because that was, I think, immediately after Falk went in, and you saw that opportunity. Were you really gunning for that one? Because it was a great move on the inside of Massenet. So talk us through that then, and your thought process going for that move, and did you know that this was your only chance to try and salvage that top level result?
Yeah, I was just waiting for that moment that Falk came in. Like, I knew I was able to overtake him and that he'd be just a little bit vulnerable because he, of course, was for the first time in clean air, no dirty air to cope with, and he wasn't fully used to that. So I just thought, yeah, screw it, I'm gonna go for it.
It was a stunning overtake, and absolutely brilliant overtake. One of the best overtakes of the season as well. So it's a shame as well to see you miss out on the victory. Unfortunately, after a great victory in Canada, you miss out on the victory here today. But going into the next round of the season in China, you are one of the top runners in the championship now. After a lot of your closest championship rivals had pretty poor performances today. Obviously, Rikurik outside the top 10 in the end, slash out the rest completely, and Packer down in 6th. Heading into China as one of the front runners in the championship, how do you see your championship progressing in China? Is that a track you think you can succeed at, or is it one that you think you might struggle with?
First of all, you said unfortunate that I lost the win to Dylan, but I'm absolutely delighted for him. I'm really happy that he got the win. The guy's endured so much, excuse my language, shit over the past couple of races, and even just this entire season so far. So he just massively deserves the win. I'm really happy for him.
Thank you so much, Matt. Like, it's,
and
I literally can't wait to watch the stream back and look at the incredible commentary from you guys. And
bless.
So yeah, I just can't. I can't comprehend what just happened and how I managed to win the Monaco race.
I think this has been the most sentiment. I think. Oh, go on, Matt.
Yeah, just to finish Aiden's question. Looking forward to China. I have absolutely no clue. I've steered far away from that track on this game. I've done probably 1 or 2 time trial laps, and that's it. So it's a mystery to me.
Well, we'll see how that performance is going to go through next week. And your runner form, who knows what can happen. But yeah, I think that is pretty much it. Of course, I think this has been the most sentimental interview we've had the entire season. But it's been a blast having you guys on board. I'm going to come to you quickly, Ian Carter, for the iconic couple of questions then. What's your driver of the day for today, and do you have any more to add after that race?
I can't add any more after that race. That race was absolutely brilliant to watch. It was an amazing race, and driver of the day, it has to go to Dylan. That was an amazing performance. Dylan made that strategy work beautifully, so he gets my driver of the day.
Okay, very fair pick. I don't think we're going to get Assassin in here, unfortunately, but I think we've heard quite a bit from our top 2 from the race, and I think it's best to let them go sometime soon. So thank you all very much for watching yet again. Of course, as Ada mentioned, the next round is going to be in China. Be looking out for that. Watch out for more League of Europe content throughout the week. Then we have an F2 League every Monday night, and also on Friday we have a PC League and an ACC League on both PC and PS4, and of course the jewel in the crown of LOE, it is going to be those PS4 F1 races. Of course, you know that D1, D3 and D4 at 6:40 PM UK time, and D2 with us, and D5 at 8:10 PM UK time. But I think with just about everything said and done, keep an eye out for that for next time. We're going to go. Go. Okay, go.
Sorry. I just need to give a special mention to Jav's blessings. Due to him, I was able to get on the podium. So thank you, Jav.
Well, we'll see if he's going to back you up again. I think he's had a pretty successful opening week, actually, so fair play to him. But yes, I think that's with just about everything said and done for this week. Thank you all very much for watching. Thank you to Aiden as well for joining me alongside in the commentary box yet again. And I'm sure we're going to go at it again next week. But with everything said and done for tonight, I have been Daniel Hogger, and he's been Aidan Carter alongside me. And until next time, we'll see you later.